Welcome to Legal Translation Quick Tips, brought to you by Translating Lawyers. This week, we're going to talk about common law contracts. If you're a professional translator working between English and any language of the civil law world, you've realized contracts in the common law world are much longer. This is because the law of civil law countries is codified. So in drafting contracts, civil lawyers can incorporate the codes by reference. In legal practice, this means contracts in the civil law world are much shorter. Common lawyers have no codes to incorporate by reference. Instead, they have to foresee every possible scenario that could potentially affect their clients and draft accordingly. And that's why their contracts are so much longer. These long common law contracts will typically be divided into 5 parts. Part 1 is the title. For translators, the title is the first indicator of how much legal and linguistic equivalence we're likely to have in our working languages. For example, a trust agreement between English and Spanish will have a lot of legal linguistic equivalence if the target country is Argentina, where trusts are known as fideicomisos and to some extent mirror American trusts, but very little legal linguistic equivalence if the target locale is Spain, where, legally speaking, trusts are a completely foreign beast. Part 2 is the Introductory Clause. The Introductory Clause contains information aimed at contextualizing the contract. In English, it'll typically contain some fossilized language that should never be translated literally, because literal translations will most likely be nonsensical and defeat the purpose of the clause in the first place. Part 3 are the recitals. Recitals don't typically have equivalents in the civil law world, which can make them real head-scratchers sometimes. They give background information that the parties see as relevant and can usually be classified as context recitals, purpose recitals, and simultaneous transaction recitals. They will also contain fossilized language that translators have to be very careful with. Part 4 is the lead-in, which usually introduces the body of the contract. A common error in lead-ins is the misuse of the word hereby, or the literal translation of phrases describing consideration. Last but not least, contracts that have more than 20 pages on average may also have cover sheets, tables of content, and indexes of defined terms. This is where most translation errors occur in the form of inconsistencies. The standard of contract drafting is that every word carries a single meaning. So when translators are inconsistent in their translation, they can create problems for their clients. So in short, to be a superstar translator, your terminology needs to be super consistent. To learn more about legal translation from lawyer linguists, visit translatinglawyersacademy.com or follow us all over social media under the handle Translating Lawyers.